All right, so this the Aquarius New Moon, anything goes. And I just know that everyone could feel Uranus waking up last week in your body, your mind, and in your experience. Something was going on. Good storms or not so good storms. Storms of shake up. I think that the shakeups on whatever level, they bring the understanding of realignment. And no one can know if they need realignment unless they have a shakeup moment and period in their time, especially a shakeup where you can't go back to where you came from when the shakeup happened. It's like if there's a car accident, there's a new beginning. Regardless if your car get fixed, it's a new beginning because it has to be, fixed. It's something new that's going to be put on that car to change the dent. And, that can be hard for people to understand because they're like, oh, my car got hit. It could have gotten totaled. Then you have a grand new beginning. And I hope you have insurance. But the thing is that it happened for a reason. Did the driver need to know that they hit the car, need to know that they needed to slow down or be more aware? You see, that's the shakeup. Aware of what? Other people. A car accident is so relative to people walking or at work, talking, at home. Do you need more awareness? And that's what Uranus brings. Plus, it brings technology upgrades. Awareness is where technology can evolve, and I talk about Steve Jobs a lot. Steve Jobs was evolved because you guys keep buying these iPhones. What phone y'all on now?
I don't know what phone they on. I think that's the 15, the 16 something.
Steve Jobs has been deceased for over 10 years, or at least 10 years. They're still making money off of the iPhone, but this is a person that was evolutionary. He is a Gemini, or was a Gemini. Gemini is under Mercury, and Mercury is under Aquarius. It's a Uranian energy. So, not to stay on that, but Aquarius is a fixed air sign. So fixed air signs mean that they're fixated on what they're doing, and there's nobody else around or out there that they're actually interested in until they're ready to be interested because they need awakening as well. They need awakening to understand that rebellion is not the only way, that you are free, but you don't have to fight for it in the capacity that a lot of people do collectively. Um, when I think about Aquarius in the collective, revolution, rebellion, what I look at is when we had, quite a few Black people, transitioning because of, you know, martial situations. And when I say martial, that's Mars. It's police, so Aquarius and Mars was fighting is what was happening. People wanted freedom, but then the um martial energy was coming in and it was just slaying people because it could. Its supremeness was more, stand outish than its rights or its thoughts for the people. And so Aquarius rebels and it begins to fight and revolt. It brings revolts when there is political situations that are not, you know, um, um, proper for society and the people. We the people for the people is on the money, but there's no such thing actually. That money does not, or that dollar sign with that note on, it does not really speak to us as the people. It speaks to them because it is something that they created. Now, Aquarius is for the people, it's for groups. And so when you look at the money, you see Aquarians waking up to fight for social issues. They are groups And then that group will go over into Pisces, where it forms the organization. And bringing it back to Aquarius, the revolts would not be if the energies in the universe said, okay, the people got it, they're free. Like over in 21 and 22 of Luke, if you read both of them, you'll find that Jesus sent the disciples to the man with the water pitcher, and that man was pouring the water out. And that man is representative of the constellation Aquarian. The water was pouring out because there's a flow, there's a spiritual flow about Uranus and Aquarius. There's a spiritual flow that says, out of your belly, living waters will flow. Why? Because there's an anointing in the waters that brings healing and life for people. And so it wasn't just at that time, but that was the evolved presentation of the water bearer from Jesus to the water bearer where he was representing. Because Pisces is actually an era that we're leaving. The calendar actually goes around. So we're in Aquarius age. This is where we are right now. So we're coming out of the Piscean age where it was a dark age. Christianity was about dark ages. And so the dark age is dissipating. Darkness is moving. They call it woke. People are waking up because the light is more imminent at this time. So when you look at the wheel, the natal wheel, it actually moves from Pisces to Aquarius. It doesn't go around from the I am Ram to what's her name to Taurus, Venus. It doesn't really go that way. That's why the North nodes are going from right now it's in Aries and it's going to go into Pisces. So that's some moon energy. But I did some classes on that about, wow, it's 2020. I did some classes on that. And that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, my cup is running over. You see, here's a water bearer. So this energy is working in me. You got to notice it. If you begin to communicate more, it's like that river is flowing up. Mercury is in there. It makes you talk. They're air signs. And so they have the mind working. So you may not sleep at night right now, or like Ashley was saying, she hasn't slept probably really in a week or two because, Uranus was waking up. It was coming back into direct motion. And so with it, excuse me, waking up, we got a lot of air sign or air energy going on here in February. When we look at where Uranus is sitting right now, we're talking about Aquarius as a symbol, and it's the sign of the Uranian energy. So Uranus is the energy of the Aquarian symbol for February. So we're in this Uranus energy. And this Uranus energy is waking up. It also affects the weather. So the way that we've had warmer weather over here where I live is like in the 80s. I was like, oh, that's a sign right there. Then you have storms. That's Uranian. And then Pisces can be a part of that too, because Pisces is ruled by water and emotions. But we want to stay with Uranus. I just wanted to give you some other. And so Uranus is a air sign and it's fixed. Or Aquarius, I'm sorry, is an air sign. Uranus is the energy. So you got this Uranian flow that's going on with you, your family, and there's rebellion going on. Why? Because some people want some things to be changed. Some people want also to be noticed where they haven't been noticed. So you find all of this being activated and that you're looking at it. And again, I brought up social issues with Blacks has stood out from 2020 until now. I also brought up that 2020 is referencing some things for me. If you look back at this time in 2020, anybody that was out of work, COVID was going on. It's a lot of similar things that's going on right now to 2020. Relationships could have been topsy-turvy or they were out the door, and some people didn't know, but they were out the door, and you'd be like, okay, I'm still there, or something is healing. something going on with your house. And all of this depends on where you were in 2020. You could look back and you might find some similarities. So the air sign itself is fixed, it rebels, but it's rebellious because it wants something. It's not an individual energy, it's always about the people, although it will be individual in the desires that it takes on. It has to go back over to Leo's energy, the sun, and say, what am I learning? What about me has been weak? And as it looks at Leo, it can find this individuality because Leo is about being an individual. It don't want to be about groups. It's me, myself, and I, right? The sun. But when you look at the sun even has to um, accommodate groups, collective. So there's an enmeshment of Aquarius and Leo here. And what I would say, not to end, but to let us know, is that there's a need to look at where you were in 2020. If you're progressed ahead, if something has come back full circle, um, the air signs take you up spiritually to do a lot of meditation for grounding at this time. Um, the legs of a person could be bothering them because Uranus actually, it deals with the Achilles heel. So you could have some problems with your legs. Um, People could have some hypertension issues as well. I want to put that out there. And so I'm gonna let Ashley speak now.
So there was a couple of things I wanted to touch on because every time you've given us the reference to the water picture and the water pouring out, I've never had this imagery. That structure could no longer hold what needed to be done in the world. So it was almost like that water was pouring, needed to be poured out, and Aquarius being the water bearer because it had to come out of that picture, that structure, whatever it was in, it needed to be freed. And what we know is that Aquarius is usually
Good.
about freedom. So I wanted to give that imagery for anyone who maybe don't fully understand the biblical reference or their mind works a little bit like mine. And when I saw it, I said, wow, I never thought of it that way. Like in my mind, it was like a light bulb, and I saw it in motion in front of me. Like, we have to pour out and we have to pour into our community and make changes and speak up and make people aware of situations. So I wanted to share that. And it was just interesting to me that you mentioned problems with legs because I've told no one this, but my right leg has been like my right leg and my like right foot has been feeling like a little numb. And I said, well, what is going on? Why is this happening? And I'm walking, I'm working out, I'm stretching, I'm doing everything normal. And I said, nothing's changed. So I plan to go to the doctor anyway about it just to see if there's something medical that I need to be aware of. And you mentioned the hypertension. I've been drinking a tea recently that's supposed to help with my blood pressure because I'm like always borderline
Wow.
high, but not completely high. So I've been working out. I've changed my eating habits. And I said, let me try and add this tea in as well to assist. So it was just interesting. You hit all of those things. And I said, how Miss Kim know about my leg? But what I also think people have to understand is when you reference the going over into the Leo energy, I think what people will get confused is, well, what does Leo have to do with Aquarius? Number one, they're sister signs. So they need to pull from each other, just like we know Capricorn and Cancer and all the signs that are polar opposites, they need each other because
Mhm.
you can't be solely one thing. Like if you're solely about freedom and about being in the community, you don't have your own individual voice and you don't know who you are. And if you are set to be someone to lead, you have to understand those qualities about yourself and what it means to be a leader. So you have to know yourself as an individual because what you gonna do? Lead people to nothing? You gotta have an idea about something and you have to have a mind of something. So And then as Ms. Kim referenced, in the Piscean era, if we've been in darkness for so long, yes, we might go up into the air, but we also need that sun. We need that sun because it also illuminates what we haven't been able to see and understand in the
Mm-hmm.
past. Like you referenced in 2020, I mean, I think honestly, there might have been people in the world, I don't know how, but they felt that racism was done, that it wasn't an issue anymore. But it very much is. And we needed to look at it in the institutional, in the social, even in the emotional because of how it affects. So I think it shines a light like that Leo energy, if used properly with the Aquarian energy, shines the light. And then those leaders who can differentiate themselves are able to work in the community to start to make those changes. So if you apply that and think about it in this way, in this Aquarius new moon, if you're setting your intentions, because in a new moon, you're planting, you're creating, because we just released whatever we're going to release in the full moon, you're setting your intentions to make a change so that in 6 months, when we have the Aquarius full moon, you can reap your harvest and you can see what's different. So if you're using that Leo energy to illuminate what you haven't seen about yourself in the past, like your weaknesses, and you plant seeds to grow those weaknesses in 6 months, you're going to see something different within yourself and with your experience around. What I can say about myself specifically, I've been watching a change in things at work. A lot of people have been let go. And I'm also noticing that in the future, there's going to be changes in the position that I have specifically, where we might need to become licensed in health insurance. We might need to be able to do quoting and different things like that. So it's understanding that while it's not something that I was thinking, that's exactly what I want to do, but it also makes me think about everything that I learn and every position that I have allows me to have knowledge and grow me as a person in a different way. So and help me speak
Mm-hmm.
with more confidence and authority on different topics. So if that's what's required of me, I'll say 6 months ago, I would have said no.
No. Mm-hmm.
But here I am 6 months later saying, if that's what's required of me, I'll do it. 6 months ago, I was putting in job applications to not become licensed and to do something else. But here I am 6 months later saying, if this is the new challenge, then this is what I sign up for and I move forward and I progress forward because I always hear myself saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes. If I always remain stagnant, I'm that structure that no longer fit. And now the water has to be poured out of me. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that um analogy that you gave. It's a revelation that the water as it was getting ready to actually become angry and burst through the pitcher rather than be poured out. That's what I heard you saying. And I like that because if you don't cure something or satisfy something, then anger and frustration is going to be the next step. And that means that there's going to be volatility. And with Aquarius, that rebellion, that's what happens. If people don't get the answers that they want concerning freedom, freedom is broad. And some people think that they're free because they have um, experience salvation in the manner of speaking in tongues, going to church and being a part of that community. And that's great. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I believe that some people don't understand what true salvation is. And to me, true salvation is what the Aquarius energy brings in. And it tells us, okay, there's a social issue here in the church. The social issue in the church is that they're taking advantage of people, and this is not all churches, and we have to stop this. You see, Aquarians will become rebellious about that. They won't stay in church. They will move because it does not fit their mode of freedom. Now, I'm not saying that anyone that watches should stop going to church, but I'm saying that if salvation is the key and you define it, what you're going to find is that it says Freedom. And so the freedom that people want, they go to church to become free of poverty, free of confusion, free of lack, free of jealousy, free of envy. They go to be free of gossiping. They go there to change. So it should be a place where the water can flow. The rivers of life can actually flow. Yeah, I don't know why I'm on church right now, but this is an example. We could go into the next thing, which would be family. But in the church, people go to church because they want freedom from something. They don't want to suffer. And there is really no such thing as a suffering saint. It's just what we've been told. So we have to change our mind about things. And that means that we need to be taught that I did a YouTube this morning on Aquarius, and I was inviting people to come on into the class. But the thing about Aquarius and that, I said, it's funny that Aquarius in February was adopted for Black History Month. This is collective. This is a group of people that had been bound. And I don't know if anybody really pays attention or has looked at that. February is Aquarius time. It's an energy of water flowing. It's an energy of spirit. It's an energy of freedom. That's what it's about. And so the social issues come in. And what is the social issues? The social issue is usually something that is not purpose-filled for the people. And so if the church is not fulfilling the people, then what do the people have? Because the church was created as a place for people to go into have refuge. And refuge means that there's some type of covering, there's some type of protection. But in most cases, people don't want to go now. And people that are in churches or a part of the cliques that allow things to happen in the churches, they discuss matters amongst the sheep. And I mean, even sheep that are outside of the church, not looking at the fact that people don't want to go to church, be lied on, talked about, misused, and abused. All right. And so if we need to go into Aquarius a little bit more, because that's the energy. And what's happening is the other thing, our cup runneth over, is because Pluto is sitting in Aquarius right now. So it's about digging the ditch and getting the SHIT out of the ditch. Any kind of hidden treasures will be revealed. Any kind of skeletons will be revealed. Why? Because the skeletons are social. There's social issues. You got skeletons in your closet, you better go ahead and get them out before other people find out if you don't want them to know. Because Pluto is in town for 20 years, I believe. And that means that the social issues that it's going to deal with has already been showing itself because Pluto was in Aquarius back, I think it was March until July last year. So you got more of the church issues coming up. And when we look at Aquarius, because it's very, very sought in the Bible, then Jesus was telling them disciples to go to the water bearer because there's spirit there. The water is indicative to spirit. And as that water is pouring out, you want that Holy Spirit to anoint you, to give you what you need in a season where there's transformation. Now, when I say transformation, I'm not saying it on a cavalier basis. You got transformation in relationships, you got transformation that's taking place in family, and it ain't easy. You got transformation in romance, you got transformation in money, in taxes, you got transformation in your heart, in customer service, in your profession, transformation in your mind. That's what Pluto is doing. And for Aquarius individuals, Pluto is dealing with their personality. So their mind is going to be affected because that's their first house. Anything that came in like a mighty rushing wind can be a winning um, catalyst for us all if we see it prospectively, meaning that if we see it for good. Okay, if it don't look good, then how can you make it look good? We ain't talking about fantasizing, we're talking about reshaping it, because that's where we are, air and water, because Pluto is a fixed water sign. So you got fixed air sign, fixed water. So it's still a lot of rebellion going on right there. People are saying, I want what I want. And then, the universe is saying, we don't care what you want. We want people to be served properly. So you have to see where you fit into this. This is a lot. That's why, we do personal consultations and those natal readings. It's like whatever you need. So the ninth is when the new moon will be in. And the new moon, it says it's going to affect, this is Astro Seeker or astroseek.com. I always go there. And it's not that I go there to figure it out, because when I look at the chart, I can see what's happening. And also intuitively, we can see what's happening. That's why Ashley had that revelation about, okay, we could have stayed with the water that explodes. Watch Aquaman also about that. Aquaman came out in Uranus Aquarian time. Think about them dates.
Mm-hmm.
And then go back and think about Black Panther came out during, I think, Cancer's time. And so I used to keep up with all of that because I seen that, DC Comics and Marvel was ahead of me or us. And I was like, okay, see, this is a theme. But anyway, see, it's some people that feed off of that energy. So your relationships with your emotions might be complicated because Moon in Aquarius has a strong need for emotional freedom. However, when you are in a group of people, it is easier for you to understand your feelings and free yourself from negative emotions such as fear, anger, and jealousy. And so Astro Seeker or astroseek.com is giving a narrative of what's going to be happening, because um, you can be individual or you can be a group. And a group is usually 3 to 5 people, or some people will call it 5. Maybe in my profession, they look at 5. So 3 is the biblical standard where there 2 or 3 of us gathered there, God is in the midst. And so when we look at the fact that we're dealing with groups, 5 and more, there could be a change in groups. There could be an evolution with groups. That means that something is happening to get your groups to grow, because Jesus had the 12 and he sent the 12 to the water bearer. And he sent them there because even when you read those scriptures, he sent them there because there would be activation of things to take place, and it would take them over into Acts where they would become apostles. So, you have these 12 men that went through this cycle with this leader. And this leader knew God in himself. And so he's pointing them in the way to go now because they did their time with him. You see, a lot of people don't know when it's time to let go, to grow. And so this is Aquarius. And so with Jesus being a part of the dark age of Christianity, Piscean age is dark age. It's nothing light there. There's nothing about light there. There are examples of light, and we are the light in the darkness of Piscean age. But as Jesus was moving on, that after they seen him and everything, or let's just keep it to the script where he's directing them. Now I'm going to go back to the ascension, because so many people don't want to look at astrology, but he descended into the lower parts of the earth. All right. He descended, and we have a descending sign. He ascended after he had those disciples prepared, he ascended. He also ascended after he came, descended after he came from the cross. He went down, that's descend. And to ascend is to go up. We talk about the phoenix rising, and what we don't know is that Jesus rose from the ashes. The ashes of Pluto's energy and a destruction that was going on not on a physical level, but this was cosmic and spiritual. So as we look at what's really happening on the cross with him, there's a person or a personality that's being crossed out because the personality has to grow more. And of course, he's showing us the way. So when he shows them to go to the water bearer, he's showing them go and multiply and increase. Also, let your light shine because this time is coming where you're going to go to the upper room and you're going to stay there in prayer until the Holy Ghost comes. See, all of this is wrapped up in there. And to make a long story short, what's happening is that he's giving them all that he had. They got to go on now because he has put something in them to duplicate them so that they could be world changers. They would be put in different places all over. But they had to meet that water bearer first. And then they went and they stayed in the upper room. What is the upper room? The upper room is about prayer. It's about staying in prayer. Because the upper room, if you stay in prayer, you're going to evolve. If you meditate, you're going to evolve consciously. So, what does that mean consciously? The Uranian energy is about evolution. It's a cosmic energy that evolves the mind. I brought up Steve Jobs. Anybody that is Aquarius, they have technology, they have speaking abilities. They are not like everybody. They are different, unique type of people. Now, I'm not saying that we're not all unique, but Aquarians, you can't move them. If you say it's the bomb, they done went off, they're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna finish my game right now. All right. They're into gaming.
Mm-hmm.
They're into different things. And emotionally, they are not moved by things that will move you. They're only moved by things emotionally that they want to be moved by. That means themselves. They're not going to be moved by your emotional stimuli. So, some of the organs influence are calf, ankle, shin, Achilles, forearm muscles, and the thyroid hormones. Now, other things that I know, this is just part of it. It says no surgical operations are not recommended during the new moon. So that's something to take in. One thing that I do know is that if you pay attention to yourself, whenever Uranus is going out of direct motion and into direct motion, you'll feel, excuse me, the heart racing more. And people will get more diagnosis of blood pressure, of high blood pressure. And the reason why is because it's a sporadic energy. It moves like the speed of lightning. That's why we got internet from a time when Uranus began to speak to some of these developers. I think it was Bill Gates that came up with the internet. If I'm wrong, I think the Navy or the military had it first, but Gates was involved in the next part of that evolution. You could look at his birthday and see when he was born. Steve Jobs, always. Y'all gonna have iPhones always. And so these are revolutionary type of individuals who create things. Oprah is Aquarius. She's a revolutionary. No matter what people feel about her right now, she's revolutionary because she took self-made and made herself. All right, from poor to millionaire. I mean, if you don't like her because of some of the things that are out in the news, then it's cool. I don't know her, so I'm just putting it out there that she's a revolutionary type of individual. She's a change agent. When you're a change agent, your life is not going to be the same. And you're going to work through struggles. If those people that I'm talking about, they didn't get life easy, especially Jobs and Oprah. They were poor. All right. So here,
Wait, before you go on, the other thing that I wanted to make a connection to, when you said upper room, and you spoke about meditation and prayer, that's all your mental. That's all up here, which we know air signs deal with, but that's also your crown chakra. So, and that's your direct connection to source. So whether you recognize source as being universe, Jesus, God, Allah, Buddha, whoever you worship, this is your connection, because when God speaks to you, when you hear that voice, you hear it in your mind. When you study, when something needs to be studied, the first thing you must study is your mind, because your mind is the thing that can play the tricks on you. So
Right.
when I thought about, you said, they went to the water bearer because there was a cleansing that needed to be done, and Jesus at that point had given them everything, and then they had to go into the upper room. They had to make that connection to their source at the time, for them as God, to fully understand who they were and what they were sent to do. So I wanted to pull that in for people as well.
Okay, good job. So this is a full and new moon chart. And this is where the new moon will be taking place on the 9th. It'll be 20 degrees um in Aquarius. And so we see the lines going from one sign to another, how it's going to affect each person. And if I just drag it across because it's straight to Leo, Leo could have a shake-up moment in between now and the new moon time, which is next week, due to the opposition. These are, as Ashley said, we call it sister signs, which means that Leo will need to learn something from the new moon energy. Um, the new moon in Aquarius. So it's going to affect people that have 20 degrees on their chart. Let's see here. Um, Here Cancer will receive, you know, energy and information from Uranus, and it's going to deal with, let's just go with Ashley, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me see. I got it. Okay.
That's 8, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my wheel a little bit better here. Okay, so Ashley, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 8. So Ashley actually is going to be looking at the new moon at 20 degrees, and it's going to be Scorpio's energy. The new moon 8 is Scorpio's house. And so it's going to be Scorpio's energy, and Pluto is going to be there as well. And so she could look at other people's money and resources coming in for her. She could also look at the fact that she planted something when the full moon was going on back in, I think that was in August or September, right?
Mhm.
And what she released, and if that release was sufficient of her for her to gain something in this eighth house energy, which is going to be the new moon. So there's something that she could harvest financially, also environmentally, mentally, socially, spiritually, and let's say economically, because the eighth house is about all of those areas. It's about deep hidden mysteries. It's about the secrets of the family. You know, it's like the secret family stuff. Like if there is skeletons, then they needed to come out. 6 months ago during the full moon, because if they haven't, then it will be a skeleton dancing on somebody's bedside who has a house saying, hey, is we still partying? Yeah, I got a new part of me now. I can see you, you can see me. It is about spiritual things, deep spiritual things. It's Hades energy. It is about the death of things. So there could be a rebirthing for her in some areas And when I look at Aquarius, it could be rebirthing of something in the groups, the social issues. Other people's money is groups. There could be a rebirthing concerning relationships and people that give her money, you know. And why? Because other people are doing things here, or other people would be taken away from those that didn't practice this kind of practice. The practice is here because every day the moon is moving into another sign. Like right now, the moon is in Libra, but it's moving into Scorpio. And so Ashley and myself will be feeling some things scorpionic. We probably will be thinking deep. The work that I do is deep myself because it always entails theology, psychology, and astrology. And I work in the psychology field. I work with mental health and substance abuse. It gives me the ability to help people on a level where maybe other people are not able to help them because I go deep. It's just who I am. So my words penetrate and our eyes see things that other people cannot see. Now, what that means for Ashley and me talking and saying what that Scorpio energy could do for her, she could actually change. Um, she did say her profession. She could go after that certification, but she might even start contemplating more of metaphysics and the arts because this is a house for it. Plus, it's in Aquarius. I think that, just intuitively relationships will begin to come in for her because of the planting. I'm not saying that relationships they'll be on the uphill swing rather than downhill, because of her planting. And we talked about 2020 showing itself. This is an eighth house energy, so it's still relationships. It's also when we look from Aries, it's the 11th house. So again, it's groups, it's relationships. She might go out and meet somebody at some type of event. So, you know, she will learn some from her daughter because her daughter is Aquarius and Pluto is there. And
Mhm.
so, go ahead.
No, it's just funny because I always look at her. I said it a long time ago, like she's gonna be my teacher. And the way that she thinks, she's also left-handed, so our minds work opposite. She works more with her left brain first, and because I'm right-handed, I work more right. So she'll say something and I'll think to say no, and then when I pause for a moment, I understand how she saw it that way, and I go, I never would have thought of it like that. Okay.
That's good.
So it's also made me more aware of her. Like today, she's been a little moody anyway, but I've been noticing like with her and my mom, they're very in tune with each other, which I love because it
Mercury.
helps me
Hmm.
to watch that, like pay more attention to that. So she was just being like, my mom goes, Ashley, she's just hungry. Let her eat and give her a minute. And I said, are you sure? And then maybe 10 minutes later, I put down a cup of tea that I made for her. And she said, oh, mommy, I didn't want tea. I said, that's fine. You can have it. You can still drink it. And she goes, okay, and was a completely different child. And I said, well, I'll be. She really was just hungry. And my mother really did just know that. And I said, okay. So it's little things that I'm picking up on and able to pay more attention to and become more aware of. Like these are her cues and this is how she reacts to different things, and it's helping to change my perspective. Even one of my best friends is an Aquarius, and we'll talk about things, and she'll say something. I'm like, how did you get there? Like, how did your mind get there? And she's teaching me. And in turn, she has a daughter who's an Aquarius who teaches all of us. So it's all having all of that. It's interesting to have that much Aquarian energy around me to also make me pause and go, okay, something's trying to tell me I need to get free. So
Yeah.
where am I not free at that I need to get free? And okay, now how do I do that? And that's part of the reason why I said I'm going to have a year of yes, because I'm always ready to say no. So if I say yes, what's going to change? So 100%.
And the
This Aquarius energy will teach you a lot.
the part that we could look at is what we need to undo, where there's a fix, because Leos are fixed and Aquarius is fixed, and here we have Pluto that's in a fixed sign, and Pluto is fixed water sign. And so here you go again with the water bearer, but it's air. And so the pressure that Pluto can play in this house for all of us is the frustration factor that, oh my God, there's still something to let go of. Whenever you get frustrated, you can know that there's something to let go of. And I always say, well, dang, if I just cry, if I could just get this up and cry, I'm going to be okay, because tears always release the pressure, but it's also a need to know what it is that you've been holding on to. And so if we talk about Leo, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so this is going to be pressure on Leo's relationships. It's going to pressure them to make authentic decisions concerning relationships. And that's like a Libra energy to me, relationships, because relationships have to be balanced in order for them to work. And so Leos are either already working on that or they're coming into it, but they're going to be faced with it because Pluto is there and Aquarius there. For the new moon, there's no other way to put it for any of us. Pluto is going to play a factor in it because the Plutonian energy is sitting in this house for 20 years. That means that Aquarius itself and its moon is going to have an overhaul. If you hadn't been working on it, then you want to start working on your moon energy so that you can stabilize your emotions. That's what our quest has been concerning the moon. I had someone that I used to work with, when we were both looking at how to exalt our spiritual faculties. And so I had saw that she was a reader and she came from that background. And what happened is that she told me in return how the moon energy would help me so much. And it has, because Ashley brought up last week or 2 weeks ago when we did Leo New Moon, or Leo full moon, how the moon affects our cycles, because the moon moves in cycles. And if you don't understand that life is a cycle, then you will never be able to let go of something that is not working for you. And sometimes just letting it go can be the premise of you receiving it back. I'm just saying. I mean, you might have a orange tree that ain't working for you, and you go ahead and do something to take it down, but go ahead and put in another orange tree, and you would have never known that that new orange tree could bear so much more fruit if you hadn't have taken the other one out, because it was only bearing 2 or 3. Just for instance, in orange, oranges came to me for a reason. So we want to look at what oranges are saying. Ashley, pull up what oranges are saying, or what the spiritual meaning of orange is about. So moving on from there, we're looking at, oh, that's also the solar plexus energy, but go ahead and look it up. So here, the Leos are going to deal with relationship challenges, and they're going to take on new relationship aspects. They're going to deal with relationships differently. There's a transformation there. There could be professional relationships that are changing over there, because this is a group energy. So we're meshing it together, not just relationships with another person, but listen, if you a player, woman or man, you might want to deal with that if you're not in agreement with your partners, because this energy gonna expose you, because Pluto is there. And the
Oh,
new
wow.
moon, huh?
So I want to, before we get too far from orange, um as you mentioned, the solar plexus, so it does creativity, emotional balance, sexuality, harmony, passion, freedom, intuition, and expression of emotions. But then also like the physical fruit of an orange spiritually is love, fertility, success, prosperity, and friendship.
Okay, so we're gonna all take that and definitely um say that we need to bring in emotional balance, period, in the moon energy, but know that the new moon, it's going to push out anything that hasn't been reconditioned.
Oh wow,
So it may
it also says orange symbolizes the purifying force that brings about transformation and spiritual growth.
okay, so
Wow.
orange could be a color for us all to wear in the days to come. It could settle the energies for us because that those trees I could see one tree was really dying with oranges, not many, but then someone is putting in another orange when I gave the visual or the idea. It was a visual that I was having. And so I seen the tree being more abundant. So sometimes when you're looking at what's being taken away from you, it's not that it's a bad thing. Let's keep this in mind. I always say seeming losses, but in its place because you learn how to deal with the takeaway. So, 1 - 1 = 0. Okay, we back to zero ground, and Pluto crossed over to zero. So that means that there was a void. It still is at zero. There's a zeroing out, a closing out of old stuff in order for the new tree to come in. I did actually, I'm looking at that. So the new tree coming in begins to show the signs of abundance because there's more fruit that's coming. But you might have been emotionally distraught because you had to get rid of that tree that you had prior. And you don't look at, or the perspective isn't there for some people that, well, if I get a new tree, it could be more abundance. And that's the way that I feel. If we could look at things going forward, this will make life easier because we are co-creators.
Mhm.
You must create with God, Goddess in you. And that means that if you don't see it, God can't see it. If you can't be it, then God can't be it either. And that means that if you can't go and do a vision board, I found a nice, easy one that you don't have to pay for. I might put it in the link here if I can remember. But the vision board is something that helps you to envision what you want. You put that down, and then by the time you put it down in another month or two, even with the new moon, you find yourself having the things that's on that board or in time to come if you keep it up. You write down what you want, $5,000 a month. You ain't got to worry about the fact that your job ended today. You don't have to worry about that because you trust the water bearer. You trust that you were sent by Jesus to the water bearer, and he's pouring out this water for what? For you to progress and prosper. And that's what, religion or spirituality, I say spirituality, is all about. It's not for us to worry, it's us to understand that we already have everything that we need. So with Leos, having the relationship challenges, they may have been having them, but this could be the where the rubber meets the road and it says, no, we changing. We ain't doing this no more. We ain't
Mhm.
doing it in profession. We ain't doing it in family because this is a group thing. What we doing right now is understanding unity. And if you over there, one of you, if you got a problem with it, hit the road, Jack. Now I ain't telling nobody what to do, but that's how the revolution start. This is a voice for Leo that they may have been keeping things secret. They may have been keeping things to themselves. Where they're going to speak up because the pressure is going to become unbearable. People that don't want to be with other people with this here relationship on play, they won't be able to stay there because transformation is there. All
Mhm.
right. So anything else?
Do we want to do Sagittarius?
Yep. So Sagittarius is this in the Sagittarius third house, and I only read for those that are in the group. So we got 3 people right now. That's why I always ask if you want to join, join us. And yes, you have to pay $20 a month because you're gonna learn a whole lot and your life gonna change. Look at us. And so this is the third house for them. So they're gonna be dealing with community. And the wonderful thing about Sagittarius is like when we look at Jazz, excuse me, she's a traveler, so this is a part of it. It's near and far travel, but it's definitely near travel when you look at the third house for her. However, there's some spiritual elevations there. Um, there's things with family and friends that's going to take place there. Uh, she could begin to look at writing more, social, and online things, because this is an online house. Um, some of her work could go to another level with online because Aquarius is there. The thing about Aquarius, and it's a mercurial energy as well for her. And the other thing is Mercury will actually be in this house, is that she probably will be like steroids on thinking, because it'll be 2 air signs, but Venus is going there too. Air signs, things probably will work out well for her because she's doing a lot of self-examination. And when I say work out well for her, I'm saying for people that don't practice self-discipline, self-development, and spirituality, any, type of emotional stability, these moons and where there's going to be a stellium in Aquarius is where we get it. Not we get the answer, but we get the shaking because it's 3 or 4 planets that's going to be there. 3 air signs means that people are going to be all up in their head. That means that they could be acting out emotionally because of anxiety. Because when you're up in your head, it's like you can't catch a thought until you come down and you become grounded. And so that's where I would see with her, because she's a fire sign and behind her is mutable. She'll have to keep grounded. And but it overall, to me, I think that this is a good placement for Sagittariuses that are doing their spiritual practice and self-development. Why? Because they're gonna make a decision to leave some family members alone that just don't get it, or they're going to mesh with the family members more because it's a third house. It deals with siblings and
Mm.
aunts and uncles, community. So there'll be more collaboration with groups and community for Sagittarius. I think that the energy in the groups and communities will be a lot because there will be, at least I know, Mercury, air sign, Venus, air sign, and Pluto will be their water sign. There's no earth there. So you got to ground yourself. You could feel that in Capricorn. Capricorn kind of like with them being in Capricorn, the earth was there, so you could feel grounding more, but you could feel where you could get caught up in the air. And it's like you're in the twilight zone. So that's what we see for Sagittarius. But overall, I think that we have some new things that we're going to be learning, and everything is new because um for Aquarius, the 0 degrees of transformation, and Pluto has brought in a different type of vibe for life, and it's almost like karma that has ended and is starting over, good and bad. And why would I say karma? Because Pluto dealt with 2008 to 2024. It's dealt with the administrations and political arenas, which is Capricornian energy. and it smashed them. It exposed a lot of things, a lot of people. You know, you got R. Kelly, who was a Capricorn, in jail for sexual issues. You got the church flaming with sexual issues. You got Diddy flaming with sexual, issues, and all of this exploitation is coming from um, leaders that have been looked at as great, and they were in Capricorn's energy, and Pluto said, no, we're not having that. You getting ready to get exposed, and we're redefining what Capricorn stands for. And so Capricorn is becoming a cleaner type of energy at this time. And so Pluto is doing that over in this Aquarius house as well. And if there's any questions, you can email us at kim@kimwarnersworld.com. And I uploaded a video of Ashley, where she's on TikTok. Tell them where you are, because the
I'm on
Capricorns
TikTok.
loved your video.
I'm on TikTok. You can find me. My name is, I believe my name is Absolute Beauty 215 on TikTok because I run with that tag. But you can also find me at www.businessgracellc.com. You can email me there. That's my business website turned blog. And one thing I wanted to also make note of is that all of these energies hitting these people in this class is dealing with us in community. Whether it's interpersonal relationships or work relationships, it's all hitting us in a community area, which is telling us something. Like if we've been focused on ourselves as an individual, now it's time for us to figure out who we are in a community and how we interact with people. And if we refer to ourselves as leaders, what type of leaders are we? So I just wanted to add that note for people to think about also, um, if you are a Cancer, Leo, or Sagittarius, and if you're not, then join the class, like Miss Kim said, and you can find out more information about yourself.
Yep. So, I think that that's all that I have. I was looking to see at my notes. I did post that video on Aquarius this morning, and I will probably be back on because 2020 has resumed itself and showed me itself. So I'm sure that there's some harvest that's coming forward. And y'all think about 2020 and look and see if there's any resemblance. But then look and see if in the resemblance you feel the same that you did in 2020. If you see any signs of 2020, and I'd say even 2019, because there's a full circle. And the full circle is where things come back and you reap a harvest. So that's what we're looking for. Now, if you're not reaping a harvest, then you want to get in this class so that you can learn how to, because as you sow, you will see things grow. What you see growing, if it's not what you want, then you got to be schooled on that. You got to learn. Um, why is it important for me as a Capricorn to know that Pluto has moved into my money house, and I'm looking at money management? um, or that when the 0 degree came up, I was hit up with a lot of money expenses. I'm grateful that I had it, but I'm asking for it to come back now because it's been hitting um, pretty hard. And what that means is um, there's a clearing out for new money. You can't get it twisted. It's not that I won't go forward and do anything to recover, but anything that leaves is opening the door for something new. And it's got to be way more than what I used to make when I was going through my identity crisis with Pluto. Pluto owed me because I did the work. Plus, I'm a Scorpio moon. Pluto is always transforming my life. We get used to it, we get tired of it, but the part that Ashley and I have done is unfixed and said, okay, I surrender. Pluto is, or, Scorpio itself is a fixed water sign. We unfixed ourselves and said, let us grow. Like she said, She knows that her job is changing, and so she's ahead of the game, and she's allowing herself to grow in her job so that she can keep maximizing her potential with this company. And that's what you learn when you come into a class with moon energy, because we're looking at, okay, what is this going to do? Well, with the new moon, I already see things from 6 months ago that I released coming back in some way that's different. Even things from 2020, maybe the Aquarius new moon. Um,
Mhm.
I could say 2018, I was divorced. And there was 2018, it was Aquarius new moon. And there's so much that I've reaped from my divorce, spiritually, mentally, and physically, 2018 to now. When you start looking at timelines and the moons, because you plant positive, you get positive back. It don't matter about the people.
Mhm.
So, all right, there we have it. So next week, about the same time, we usually meet about 3:30, and join us. I like your hair.